TCI is brought to you by prolific sire of sires, Unbridled Song, standing at tailor-made stallions.
Welcome back to TCI, your inside track to the Breeders' Cup. Alongside Joel Cunningham, I'm John Siegel. All right, Joel, let's get to serious business here. It's time to start ranking these horses leading into the Breeders' Cup.
It's not too early, is it?
No, it's not too early if we know what we're talking about, so let's jump right in there. I want to talk about the Classic division, and let's start off with the 3-year-olds because it's really the horses that we've been following so far this year.
Right.
So I want to jump right in and see your top 5. There's really no surprises to me, except for maybe Power Broker in at the number 2 spot. I mean, I'm not opposed to him being on the list. I just was a little surprised he was so high.
Yeah, so we're trying to identify 3-year-olds that can contend in that Breeders' Cup Classic the first Saturday in November. And I know we have a long ways to go, but a lot of it has to do with their style and pedigree and why I rank them as such. Orb is still the horse that I think is best set up for 10 furlongs, John, with a true pace scenario in front of him, you know, spacing in between races. I like him in that top spot. Power Broker, I just think that he's set up for a big second half of the year campaign. We're going to find out in the swaps this next Thursday when he faces, you know, Golden Sense. He should be stalking. Golden Sense is a very good speed horse out there going a mile and 1/8. If he can put Golden Sense away, finish up, show me what he did on Belmont Day. I thought he ran a great race that day, even though it was just a listed stake. Power Broker's a horse I really think could really forge onto the scene, be a top player in that 3-year-old division for the second half of the year. Oxbow's a cruiser.
Yep.
Very tough, John, but there's so much speed. We're going to look at the older males in a minute. That's going to really hurt Oxbow, in my opinion, when he starts to face older horses leading up to the Classic later on in the year. Palace Malice, tactical type horse. I still question, you know, his quality against the best, particularly against the older males. So he goes in the 4 spot. And then Normandy Invasion, I think, has a chance to have a big second half of the year.
Yeah, a little quiet for Normandy. You know, I think they did right by the horse, gave him some time off. He's really poised to have a big summer for sure.
I think, you know, Travers, you know, look for Travers with him. He'll be one of the top players in there. He belongs in the top 5.
All right, let's look now at the older males because, Joel, this year there is a ton of class in here. No real surprises. There's a horse in there I'm not totally familiar with, and that's in the number 5 spot there, Clubhouse Ride. Tell me a little bit about him.
I think he's the top horse in California right now, not named Game On Dude. Obviously, he's been chasing Game On Dude a lot, but he just keeps getting better and better. And Game On Dude, you have to wonder, he's had a very tough campaign. Early in the year, he was just so razor sharp, John, that, you know, as he gets older and older, you just wonder, when is he going to tail off? When is he going to lose some form? And I just get that indication, particularly with all the speed signed on in the Classic division. I mean, look at every one of these horses can be tactical here. I like Clubhouse Ride in the current form he's in, going 1.25 miles. Garrett Gomez has done such a great job, as well as the trainer out there. I think he belongs in the top 5 based on his current form. He might be the best horse in California based on that form. Game On Dude, you have to have him in the top 5, but again, cruiser like Cross Traffic, I think is set up for a huge campaign. If they can keep him together, I mean, he just has that cruising speed to just totally run horses off their feet. Kind of reminds me of Tisway a few years ago. Good around 1 turn. I think he's going to carry that cruising speed around 2. Fort Larned, obviously another high-energy cruiser. Obviously a great comeback win in the Foster. He belongs in the top 2. And then Painter for me. More tactical, so you combine that quality and that tactical speed, that ability to rate is why I have Painter number 1 over many on this group.
Well, you mentioned that ability to rate, and you mentioned you know, a lot of the speed. I guess the biggest question would be when I look at these horses, there's a lot of horses with tactical speed, front-running styles. I guess the question is, do you think the 3-year-olds are good enough to beat the older horses right now?
You know, Orb is the one that I think has the best shot. I mean, if you look at his numbers, you know, he's running, you know, across the board, pretty good numbers this time of year for a 3-year-old. But he has to improve, John. I mean, he's not, frankly, as fast as Painter, Fort Larned. Those horses are just much faster on all number matrix right now than a horse like Orb. But I do like his off-the-pace style. He proved in the Derby when he won easy that day with a reasonable layoff that, you know, when he is sitting on his A race, he can be very tough, very classy. And again, Power Broker, I mean, a horse with some upside, I think, that can, you know, show some ability to rate fairly, you know, in that middle group. I can see him making a big second half of the year campaign. To me, you need that style because, quite frankly, if speed's holding at Santa Anita in November, the best speed are the older horses, horses like Fort Larned, Cross Traffic. So to me, you need some sort of edge, and that edge comes in a horse that can settle and come from off the pace, and Orb can do that.
So you give the edge right now to the older horses as far as your top 5?
Oh, definitely. I don't think these 3-year-olds are near the older horses right now. I mean, just look at the numbers and just overall class. And that's why we've seen, you know, 3 different Classic winners this year. You know, we didn't see a horse that could dominate the Triple Crown. I certainly don't see one that, you know, at this moment, unless they take leaps and bounds over the next few months, that can make an impact on a horse like Painter, Fort Larned. These older males are really, really good, and the 3-year-olds have some catching up to do.
All right, well, we have 2 winning ins to talk about this weekend. We have the Shoemaker Mile, and we also have the Triple Bend. Let's talk about the Triple Bend for a second. It's interesting when you look on the site, it says that this is a winning in for the Dirt Mile.
Yes.
Joe, I really thought, you know, a lot of times the Triple Bend horses go into the sprint division, and we see Jimmy Creed in here, a horse that I thought would definitely be pointed towards the sprint division later in the year. Tell me, what do you think about the strategy there?
Yeah, I totally agree. This is not really a winning you're in for the Dirt Mile because that's a 2-turn race at Santa Anita. The Triple Bend's a sprint race. I mean, Jimmy Creed is a brilliant 6-furlong horse. He ran the Breeders' Cup Sprint last year, John. I think that you're going to see him as a top contender in California leading up to that sprint. And really, if I had a sprint top 5 right now, he would probably be in that top 3 because I think he's that good, particularly at 7 furlongs. I think he's good. So he's the horse to beat in the Triple Bend. That is a winning you're in race for the Dirt Mile, but I guarantee you, they're going to point Jimmy Creed towards the Breeders' Cup Sprint. It's a bigger purse than a Dirt Mile, but he is a true sprinter, a 1-turn horse. He's not a 2-turn Dirt Mile horse. So a little baffling that's a winning you're in for the Dirt Mile, but I think you'll see him as a big player in the sprint division.
All right, so looking at the field there in the Triple Bend, you think Jimmy Creed gets it done this weekend?
I definitely do. He loves 7 furlongs, and if he's on his game, Gary Stevens jumps aboard. I just think he's so much better than the group he's facing out there. I mean, he dodged Sahara Sky in the entry box. I thought Sahara Sky, especially with you know, Common to the Top being in the race and having that type of speed, it could set up for a horse like Sahara Sky. Is great at 7 furlongs, but with him not entering, I think it's all Jimmy Creed. I think he's going to stalk and pounce and prove best.
All right, who do you think gets it done in the Shoemaker Mile?
Well, the Shoemaker Mile, I think will have a bigger impact on what it's intended to do. The Breeders' Cup Mile, John, on the grass, and the fact that such a course specialist, like obviously, so tactical, John. I mean, he faces, you know, Za Approval's an interesting East Coast invader in here, but in a short field of 5, obviously should just run away from this group, in my opinion. If he's going to prove to be a top player in that mile division at the end of the year, I think he's a very intriguing horse.
All right, worth mentioning, Wise Dan this weekend as well, 128 pounds, but he's running in a firecracker. So
the bad thing for obviously is Wise Dan is still in this division. If they continue to point for their defense in that mile, he's still the best North American turf horse, in my opinion. And you know, carrying 128 pounds, usually a concern when you're giving up 10-plus pounds at the field. But look at this field, John. I mean, he lays over this field. He hasn't faced a field this week in a long, long time. On pure class, I expect Wise Dan, as tactical as he is, I expect him to show speed and really kick away from this group just because he's much the best.
All right, thank you, Joel. Yep. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you come back next week. We may give you a few more top 5s, and we'll recap the Shoemaker Mile and the Triple Bend.